Boardbots. To many, they are the fifth Cog Department, meant to surpass even the bossbots in terms of management and power. To others, they are bossbots too. Over the years, boardbots have been neglected, and empty promises of a Boardbot HQ have been made. In this video, we will be going over the comprehensive history of the Boardbot Department, their visual downgrades, their many missed opportunities, and their betrayal. Take a seat, this is going to be a bumpy ride. Boardbots initially started as a concept. Many servers have tried to create their own fifth departments, but none compared to that of the Boardbots. Initially created by Dank Mickey or Toontown mods, and with help from Smokin' Foreman and Stormish, a sinister department of the most black-hearted and gray-souled robots were conceptualized and modeled, true to the theme of bureaucracy. Being initially a concept, the Boardbots used existing Toontown models and modified existing textures. Their suit texture being a retextured Cellbot suit, something Toontown has done since the days of old. Despite this, they retained their designs going into Toontown Project Altis. But one of the designs was very odd: the Connoisseur. Of all the Boardbots, the Connoisseur was the only Boardbot to use Toon accessories as part of their model. The top hat and monocle. It's always the Monopoly guy. While Toontown is no stranger to reusing existing assets, the idea of reusing Toon accessories for a cog was quite the choice. This could be forgiven for the conceptual stage, but no changes were made for the Altis release. Of the 8 Boardbots, only 2 had unique models: the Toxic Manager and the Big Fish. The Toxic Manager, despite some rough shading, was the true pinnacle of peak design. A scary cog that shows the true power the Boardbots have to offer. The Big Fish, on the other hand, while a more silly and simple design, had a major flaw. The model for the Big Fish was highly unoptimized to the point that loading a single Big Fish in the game would be the equivalent of loading the entire playground of Toontown Central, a pretty bad thing considering cog invasions and a future Boardbot HQ. Even in the conceptual stage, Boardbots were given the rotten end of the stick. So as alluded to before, Boardbots were meant to fit a bureaucracy role, but they also fit for a board of directors. Hence the term Boardbots. Initially, the Boardbots equivalent for merits were referred to as pie chart pieces. So Boardbots had a pretty high ranking and powerful role for Cogs Incorporated. But as I said, many people consider Boardbots to be bossbots too. You can argue that these roles can be applied to the bossbots. And while that may be true to some extent, I feel some Cogs better fit the role of bossbot, while others fit the role of Boardbots. A flunky wouldn't exactly be the best fit for a board member. With that out of the way, you might be wondering who the boss of the Boardbots was meant to be. The chairman, of course. The chairman in many companies are the head of the board, and Toontown's chairman would be no exception. In a weird way, you could think of the Boardbots ranking higher than the other cog bosses. This chairman was initially designed for Project Altis, and would eventually make way to corporate clash. Because of the chairman being the be-all, end-all cog, it would be a very long time for Boardbot HQ and the chairman's battle to be complete. A fate that you will see to be a common recurrence. On December 19, 2016, Project Altis released in its beta, and with it the first official release of the Boardbots in a Toontown server. Despite the Boardbots retaining most of their conceptual designs, one of them got an improvement during the launch. The con artist was given a unique beret, playing into the artist in its name. A unique hat to it, quite the step up from the Connoisseur's Toon accessories. The middleman also got a redesign, going from a combination of a double talker and a two-face, into a two-headed yes-man clone. So now, technically, we have 5 yes-men. The heads are only slightly different texture-wise, but nonetheless they both use the yes-man face. Unlike other servers, the task line was given a complete rewrite and different tasks from that of Toontown Online, and made easy way for Toon tasks revolving around Boardbots. Not just the generated tasks for gag frames and the such tasks for the shopkeepers you visit. Despite the previous pie chart pieces, the Boardbots and Vases were simply named merits as a placeholder. Not unlike the other Cog departments. At some point, the Toxic Manager was given a redesign. While the design definitely fits better with the darker aesthetic of the other Boardbots, the fear factor from the former design was lost, and this ends up being a more silly cartoonish design. Supposed not too uncommon for cogs but still a disappointment to some. While Boardbot HQ never released on Project Altis, there was an unfinished early version of a Boardbot HQ hidden in the game, inaccessible to anyone but devs. Despite the Boardbot's home under Project Altis, it would not last long. On December 7, 2017, Project Altis would close down and go under a rebranding, leaving the Boardbots without a server once more. With Project Altis under a rebrand, Boardbots were promised to make a return. But yet another redesign was made. The Big Fish was given a whole new model. Much better optimized, yet ditching its catfish identity entirely. But this was not the end of this version of the Big Fish, as it would eventually make a cameo in the Tall Tale Carp shop in Barnacle Boatyard, and as part of the COD April Tunes boss. Quite the downgrade, but it was better than having no Big Fish at all. Corporate Clash had officially launched its open beta on June 18, 2018. And with it came promise for the Boardbots. They were given a new fully original suit texture and 2 special mini-boss cogs for the task line. The Director of Land Acquisition and the Director of Land Development, or Dold and Dola for short. Despite being Skelecogs and having no unique head model at the time, they were still the first new Boardbots since the original conception, as well as the first Boardbot Skelecogs outside of 2.0 cogs, and Executive Boardbot Skelecogs. While Boardbot HQ was not created for the game's launch, the Boardbots were given a street they could call home. At the time, this was Pajama Place, sporting the highest Boardbot spawn rate of all streets in the game, and at levels as high as 11 they were no pushover. And the promise of these levels being the levels of the HQ itself made it all run wild. And while there was no Boardbot boss, the Boardbots did find their way into a boss battle. As part of the CEO battle, you can find magnates, big fish, and head honchos dining at the banquet among cogs from all the other departments. So it was nice they made some sort of boss appearance. The connoisseur and toxic manager also received signature attacks in the form of backhanded compliment and acid rain, adding to the coolness factor of these cogs. And of course, the chairman makes his appearance at the end of the questline as part of the cutscene for the director's battle. Fully modeled and even animated, which would eventually become the new norm for many cogs. Things were looking up for the Boardbots here. But unfortunately, this is the high point for the Boardbots. While Boardbots have not received any major updates in 2018, an interesting thing did happen on Christmas Day of that year. The comic Annual Review was released and a new character, while not visibly present, was introduced. Robert Seigers, the chairman's secretary Jennifer. While it may not have been obvious right away, this new character is in fact a Boardbot. Fitting the personality of a board secretary perfectly, the character was written well in this first comic alone, and would become a staple of the Corporate Clash lore. Until they made this and the other pre-1.2 comics not canon. But still, for the time this was a nice thing for the Boardbots. The same could not be said for the year of 2019, where everything got all lawbot focused. As such, Operation Break the Law had begun October 2019. Oh yeah. And Boardbot Skelecogs can spawn as part of Count Urclaim's battle. This was true for both 2018 and 2019, but it's not direct and more of an after effect of having Skelecogs of all departments spawn in his battle. Break the Law, as you expect, was very lawbot heavy. And the Boardbots didn't get much time to shine while the Toons were dismantling and overtaking Lawbot HQ. But history loves to repeat itself. As in the Day of Reckoning comic, the CJ had resigned as head of the Lawbots, and we were introduced to a new character. Thomas Saggs the Ottoman. Originally designed as a funny character by McZoop, the Corporate Clash crew adopted this character into the canon and gave us our second new Boardbot since TTCC's launch. A fine addition to the cast of characters in the lore. Break the Law continued and we hadn't heard much else from the Ottoman or Boardbots. They did get a Toon task that coincides with other BTL Toon tasks where you investigate the other HQs to see how they are handling the situation with the CJ's departure. The Toon task had you defeat a 6-story building, recover a memo from Boardbots, and defeat 10 level 9 cogs in Drowsy Dreamland. It wasn't much, but it was something. On April 8, 2020, Phase 2 of the April Toons event started and gave us Boardbot HQ. No, not Boardbot HQ, Boardbot HQ. Despite the tomfoolery of the April Toons event, this fun little prank provided the first in-game appearance of the Ottoman, or as he's also known, the Chief Operations Officer, or COO. He would provide some lore regarding Robert and John, the CJ, and his radio even teased one of the 1.1 update soundtracks. Definitely one of the most exhilarating boss fights Corporate Clash has ever come up with. After April Toons ended, things quieted down on the Boardbot front until June 25, 2020, the release of the Loftus Space comic, where we would finally see what Jennifer looks like as well as mildly learn a little more about her. Rivaling with Judy and fooling around, and nearly making the chairman blow a gasket. About a month later, I think you know what comes next. Many people had expected Boardbot content to release as part of 1.1, until they realized that wasn't what TTCC was doing. While this was a disappointment to some, it didn't stop 1.1 from being the best major update Clash had ever released, as the updates that would follow would slowly bring the decline of the game, as well as the ever-looming decline of the Boardbots. But in lighter news, the land directors were given cheats as part of this update, making them harder than they were before and not just generic executives. After 1.1's release, there was an amusing bug where lawbots and boardbots could enter each other's buildings from the knock-knock doors. The two departments were on good terms, it seems. We all laugh. But it doesn't change what would become of the future. You could be forgiven for thinking that after 1.1, the lawbots would no longer hog the spotlight. But it doesn't change the facts. Boardbots have not received any major updates or improvements for a while. While the new and not really improved Count Urklane fight made it more likely to see an executive Boardbot Skelecog, there really wasn't much going on. Just the promise of new permanent content for the game. Long story short, blah 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 1.2 released. Blah 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 was the update that ruined Clash, or so we thought. Blah blah blah, we're only here to talk about Boardbots. While it's true, lawbots still got time in the spotlight as of the release of the overhyped CLO, Boardbots were once again placed into obscurity, although their merits were renamed to shares, which fits the identity, but as it stands, shares are still unobtainable and Boardbots dropped nothing. So time went on and Boardbots were largely uncared for until version 1.2.1 saw the revamp of Twilight Terrace. And the Boardbots found a new home in the new Twilight Terrace, which as it stands is the street with the highest hill, the most appropriate location for Boardbot HQ. Of course, this meant that Boardbot HQ would be located here for the years to come. The 2021 COO instance was roughly the same, with different dialogue referencing the litigation team among other things. But it wouldn't be for a long while until we got some true new Boardbot changes. COO would happen again in 2022 following the release of Count Urfit. And he would bring up Bobby Jr., the chairman's son. But he's not a Boardbot, though. I guess it is some Boardbot lore. And then things would quiet down again until November 18, 2022, the release date of the best Pokemon games in the entire series, as well as the release date of 1.3. Sadly, not a full-on Boardbot revamp, but instead, the Boardbots were given an emblem change, ditching the black gear for an arrow you would see on a stockholder chart, which is definitely a lot more fitting than a gear. And as part of the Hires and Heroes update, each department was given some new managers. A breakthrough for the Boardbots. At long last, new Boardbot managers. The Dola was renamed to Land Acquisition Architect and became a full-on new cog with a suit, while the DOLD had his name stay the same but was also given a glow-up. And who can forget about all the new Boardbot cogs in the Hires and Heroes update? You got the Deep Diver, the Gatekeeper, the... Wait. That's it? That's all the Boardbots we get? Lawbot got 3. Boardbots were given the rotten end of the stick once again, getting only 2 new manager cogs and none of them were instance managers. Only street managers. And to make matters worse, the Rainmaker was originally going to be a Boardbot. That's right, Misty freaking Monsoon was planned to be a Boardbot, but they ended up making her yet another lousy lawbot. Just why? It should be clear now at this point on how much neglect the Boardbots have had to put up with. I guess if nothing else. The chairman was remodeled to be more accurate to his appearance in the comics. Come April Toons 2023, a new event manager would take the scene. The High Roller. And he's a cashbot. Not a Boardbot. Because why would he be? The COO would happen again, and at least it provided some actually decent Boardbot lore. It showed that the Boardbot managers I mentioned, Gatekeeper and Deep Diver, are on friendly terms. So that's cool, I guess. Glad to see co-employees get along. Some time would pass and the managers' fights would get some revamps. As you can see, things have gotten slower for the Boardbots and still they are left without an HQ. But surely now, 2024 will be the year for the Boardbots, the year they finally get their HQ, the year they finally get a revamp, the year they finally get specialists. This will be the Boardbots' year. On December 20, 2023, TTCC announced another department would be getting a revamp, for the first time in nearly 4 years. It would later be confirmed that the department being revamped would in fact be the Boardbots. And on February 16, 2024, the Boardbot mega invasion would finally begin. This was it. The Boardbots were about to get what they deserved the most. The year of the Boardbots was about to begin. And on March 8, 2024, the Director's Cuts update had released. It was finally time for the Boardbots to get the massive glow-up they deserved the most. Here.
What? Who? Why? What happened?
The Boardbot revamp ended up getting rid of most of the Boardbots. Except for the Magnate and Head Honcho, all the existing Boardbots were thrown out and replaced, deleting part of the legacy that made the Boardbots so memorable. And to make matters worse, these are just regular cogs. They added no new specialists. The new cogs may be animated, but they're just the same old cogs, redirected and rearranged. You may have noticed something. Of all the Boardbots, only 2 of them were kept in the game and remastered. 6 of them are entirely new. 6. That's the same number of Lawbot specialists. I personally believe that they redesigned the Head Honcho and Magnate, and did the specialists first, then gave up and decided to axe the remaining Boardbots. And I have evidence to back this up. Here are some screenshots from the Director's Cuts backstage post, and as you can see, there were some prototype designs made for the Middleman, Big Fish, and Toxic Manager, as well as conceptual artwork for the Boardbot redesigns, and even some other planned specialists such as the Angel Investor. Shyster 3.0 over here, but would have been a female Boardbot to which there are none now. So it was very possible for them to at least do specialists much like they did with the Lawbots. But no, instead we got this pile of trash, including one of the most stupid cog designs I've ever seen. Now to be fair, the new cog attacks are pretty cool. They look animated well. Almost all of the existing attack animations in this game got ruined in the same update, but this video isn't about that. Also, I can't help but wonder why they added an attack called Blue Chip that relates to poker, and they didn't give it to the Duck Shuffler or even the High Roller. I know it's meant to be a Boardbot signature attack, but you can make an exception once or twice. Speaking of the High Roller, he returned in April 2024, and the first round now supports a sizable amount of Boardbots compared to the rest of the departments. This was not done by accident. They began inflating the number of Boardbots you can find in instance managers such as the Witch Hunter and Pacesetter. What? To distract us from the truth. Essentially saying to us,
Look guys, Boardbots, new content. We never forgot them.
While they may have not forgot about them directly, the sacrifice they made just was the wrong thing to do. In 1.9, Boardbots were made to drop all other departments' invoices at 40% effectiveness. In a weird way, while only a placeholder until they actually release Boardbot HQ, it makes the Boardbots act as a wild card. A joker for all cogs. The COO ran again for 2024 and 2025, declining in terms of lore, reward, and effort. And the Boardbots, once again left in the dark as the overclocked CLO. Class action slowly looms its way into the game. But that's not the worst part. No. There is something so much worse. Something that will be the nail in the coffin for Boardbot's identity and integrity. If you thought things for Boardbots couldn't possibly get worse, look no further than the Gears and Gizmos update. Remember the Boardbot managers? The land directors, gatekeeper, and deep diver? All of them are being moved to other departments, and Boardbot will be left with no managers. Boardbots are truly becoming the wild cards of cogs, completely replacing executives in their entirety. As a desperate attempt to make Boardbots be the strongest cogs, they will get special abilities and passive abilities, and they will make their way to other departments' buildings as well as their boss battles. And Boardbot buildings will be home to all cog types. Essentially, this makes Boardbots mini bosses. Forget the fact that every cog is getting wacky mechanics and whatnot in the GAG update. Forget the fact that cogs can go upwards to the 60s in levels. This change right here. Not only will the executive Boardbots and their textures completely go bye-bye, but this is the separation of Boardbots from the rest of the cogs. Had Boardbots done this back in 2016? Sure, that could potentially have worked, but they have physically and mentally ruined the Boardbots' identities, and now they have become this. And while yes, GAG isn't out yet and they're revising it so to speak, there's no telling what they are and aren't going to do with the update. And if their track record proves anything, it's that they will add a significant change in the update without our knowledge. So there's still a high chance that Boardbots will become this. And everything they stood for in 2016, nearly a decade ago, will be long gone. And it is heavily unlikely at this point that Boardbots will get specialists. And even if Boardbot HQ ever does happen, it will be far too late, and it won't matter anymore. This script was written before TTCC's PAX East event, and this video is set to come out on April 1, 2026. The same day that Clash will begin the last April tunes where they run the COO instance.
That one didn't age quite so well.
And while I highly doubt that they'll announce a Boardbot HQ at this event, my point still stands that it is far too late. That Boardbots deserved better, and for nearly a decade of regret, releasing Boardbot HQ at all with the COG's current state would be a big slap in the face. Boardbots had such potential. I even had dreams of a Boardbot HQ. Wondering what it would be like and how well it would compare to the CLO. But no matter what they do, even if they make the chairman fight a good one, everything about the Boardbots has gone down the drain and it is beyond saving them now. Unless Gears and Gizmos is cancelled in its entirety. But that's not gonna happen, is it? I want the authentic Toontown experience with Boardbots in it, not whatever Gears and Gizmos is supposed to be. And I have heavy doubts that corporate Clash will do anything to improve the Boardbots and bring them the glow-up they deserved and the HQ they needed for a long while. If anything of note from PAX is worth mentioning, it will be added to the video. If not, this concludes my rant on how Boardbots have been neglected for nearly a decade.